Where does a thought come from? I've covered this before. Maybe I could cover this more thoroughly or fastidiously, persnickety, my words for being meticulous. Maybe I'm a jurisprudent or an erudite. Words for knowledge. Are you a knower? Are you a Gnostic? Where does a thought come from? Take it from a schizophrenic guy. There's no way I should be able to know because I'm being analyzed and assessed by guys who claim to be doctors. And they are assessing my attachment to reality. They have no proof of a detachment, but here's where a thought comes from because this L. Ron Hubbard guy, Dr. Solis, asked me. I've made a video on this before, like I said, but this one will be more thorough. Now, we have 5 senses in a brain, and in short, that's where all of our thoughts come from. And this is how we know. Well, if you had no senses, but you had a brain, you'd never experience anything. So you've got a memory bank, but you can't think. You never experience anything. There's nothing to remember. Or you have all 5 senses and you don't have any memory. You can't think. Now, if you had this is what you'd be experiencing. Like, if you had just enough memory, just enough sensory perception and memory to see things, and your brain can see and just hold it for a little while, and you can make that much sense of it, and you can hear things, you'd have that. You wouldn't know what anything is. You have no memory retention. You couldn't understand a word, a concept. You don't know what you're looking at. Is that a tree? You forgot what it was as soon as you looked away and looked back again, it was new. So it'd be that extreme, and that's like dementia or Alzheimer's. You lost your memory. Your memory was damaged. And that can be from sleep deprivation in real life. But this is where a thought comes from. And you need both of those. You need both memory and senses to experience thought, which is what experience is. I have thoughts now. If you think about it, everything you do has to be tied together by concepts. Everything that you're doing right now, even if you're watching this or listening to this, it's concepts. You're listening to my words, you understand what those mean. You looked at a tree, that's a tree. Everything and anything that you do, you had to learn and then remember. And that learning went through your senses. So Helen Keller is the example I give, and there are more. I mean, there's Ray Charles. There are the blind. Stevie Wonder. There are those that they're lacking senses. As long as you have senses, you may begin to comprehend something. And depending on how much time somebody takes to work with you or how many senses you have or are lacking, you can understand just about everything. And then there's surgery. These are the exceptions. There's surgery, and then there's electromagnetic or electronic or electromagnetic radiation frequencies like light. And they can shoot those into your brain and make you hear stuff because that's all your brain's doing. Stimuli in the environment are going through your senses, and they hit your brain, and they're converted into electrical signal, and that's how your brain makes sense of everything. Now, your brain communicates with itself. The whole brain communicates with itself. Now, there are 2 hemispheres, cerebrally, and those 2 hemispheres are connected by, or united by, the corpus callosum. That plays a major role in uniting the hemispheres. Now, the whole brain communicates with itself. You have hearing, seeing, smelling, sight, cedrus, and feeling, tasting. You have all your senses. And when you experience these, it goes into your brain shoots off. The whole brain really just talks to itself. This is how you get locational data, all kinds of different stuff. Your brain processes all of this, where things are coming from, where they're at. The whole brain's talking to itself. Then you have motor function. And all of this really ties in together. That's why it communicates with itself. Well, my eyeball's moving, my mouth moving, my feet moving. This is motor function. This is movement. All of these, the whole brain communicates with itself. You have auditory cortexes, the frontal lobe, the cerebrums, the cerebellum. You have other cortexes, the brain stem, and a lot of different parts of the brain. I don't want to get into all the brain science. That's why I say I keep it general. Skim over it. We have synapses, electromagnetic impulses shooting back and forth, gray matter, white matter. But before you know everything about the brain, before you can be a mental health practitioner, you have to know where a thought comes from, and it doesn't even take all of that. But they go to school for 4 years and don't even learn what that is. And they're asking a schizophrenic guy who's schooling them at everything. So, I mean, it's that simple. You break it down and go, well, here, how am I wrong? So I have a detachment from reality, huh? Well, you got to prove it, because this is what reality is. Here's how you experience. And this has to do with my theory, too, because I'm the greatest uniter ever. I'm way better than Trump's nothing. So we're inseparably united because nothingness cannot exist as a physical substance. Therefore, it can't come between any 2 points in space, regardless of how close together they are, how far apart they are. It's self-defined as not existing, so there is a form of energy between you, I, and everything else you're looking at. The air can be ionized. Molecules have electrons. There's solid, liquid, matter, gas, plasma, and exotic, and then there's massless. There's light connecting everything, too. If you look out here, it's all lit up. What do you think's traveling through everything? We have air molecules. These air molecules and vapors, these all have electrons in them, and atoms that have nuclei. And then there's light traveling through all of it, and there's little protons, and they're hitting things, and we're getting mesons and leptons, and little exotic particles are popping out. We're getting pions. So it's a little bit about what's going on. There are hundreds and hundreds of bosons and exotic particles and strange quarks and charm quarks, up quarks, down quarks, antis. All this stuff's going on all over around you. But because of this, I solidify the unity of everything. It's like, this is, without a doubt, all interconnected, inseparably so. So we're separated, our experiences and our locations, by central nervous systems. I have a body and I have a brain, and this is where I am sensing from and experiencing from. You're over there somewhere, someone else is over here somewhere. But those build and create our thoughts. So my grandma cooked me something when I was younger. I remember the smell. I tasted it. I remember the taste. And then, you know what? I first tasted it, and then I went, I like this. And I remembered that I liked it, and it appealed to my body. And my tongue, it was palpable, and I grew an adulation for it. The affinity for the flavor of this thing that my grandma cooked for me, I never lost, and I keep eating it. But without having the sense of taste, I never have that experience. I don't even have that inside of me as a memory. I smelt it. So we're back at, well, if you take away all the senses, but you have a memory bank, you can't think. You never experienced anything. You could have a perfect, large, huge, perfect brain. Everything's well-formed, but you don't have any sensory organs. They're just not there. So you can't think. You never experience anything. You can't even feel. There are no vibrations. You got all your senses, but there's no brain, or just enough to, hey, I can see. I can see. I can hear. But I forget everything immediately. I have no memory. Well, what's a thought then? I don't have any thoughts. Like I said, you don't even know words. You can't learn. Now, the exceptions, as always, are surgery and electronics. So let's say you have all your senses, right? Like, you've been living this way and you just have this terrible memory. It's atrocious. It might be so bad it's what I explain the most extreme. Well, you could get a brain transplant, or you can get an implant electronically, some type of computer chip. And say, well, this one stores memory for you. And it's perfect. You become robotic like a cyborg. Now you have a memory. Well, this would be experimental. I don't know if they've done this yet, but that's all you need. I got to remember stuff. Well, how large is my memory bank? Well, make a real large memory for me. Maybe we can figure out how to do this. It's almost like artificial intelligence. Well, that's all a robot is. Go look, we created all these artificial organs. It can see, it can hear, it reacts, it sees its environment, and we put a little hard drive in it, and it can store memory, and it can react, and it's programmed. But the same can be done with this person that's got, well, he has a brain and a perfect memory, but no senses. He can't think. He's never experienced anything. But you could shoot something into his head with electronics, like a little vision or hearing. He wouldn't know what it was because he's never learned anything. But if you did that for like 10 minutes, I go, what? Wouldn't that? You think that might blow his brain? His mind would just be like, what is this? It was like he's being born. This is the first experience ever. But what does he do with it? that brain might hang on to it. If that's all it ever experienced and it just kept living on until it died 70, 80 years ago, what was? It wouldn't even, I don't know if it'd even be able to question. I don't know if that's inherent or innate, but it would have this memory now, this experience. There was that time where it wouldn't even be able to think like that. But then there was that time where there was that, what was that? And that was your experience. So, we have the violations of the law all around the city, but this is about thoughts, where those come from. So, those are two ways to resolve it. You could also have surgery on this brain. We gave it some senses. We transplanted or artificially created our own or roboticized it again, and this guy's a cyborg. He's got a working brain with a memory. He had no senses. Now that he's experiencing with these implants or these electronic cyborg implants that have connected to his brain, he's biomechanical. He can think now. His brain's got something to work with. He can learn. He has a memory. So that's where it comes from. That's where a thought comes from. We can go all the way back in time. That's what separates us, is our central nervous systems. But we're all the same thing in essence. We're eternal. And inseparably so. We're all connected. And we're experiencing life from different places, different locations. And that's what alters and controls and forms our experiences, and thus our thoughts and our memories. But we're all here, in essence, experiencing this same thing. And we got to see a lot of it now. It's like, well, here's the whole universe. And we all saw that together. The Hubble deep space. But the first law of thermodynamics tells us that for the eternity of a thought, that energy can't be created nor can it be destroyed. That means it had no beginning and has no ending. Everything's thermodynamic. We have the laws of thermodynamics. The laws of thermodynamics, such as entropy 2, tell us that we don't know everything about this system, but it is changing. And that the essence of it is eternal. We learned that from the first law. And then we have the laws of conservation of energy that tell us that, well, this is eternal. It's not doing anything but transforming. It's either going to turn into a different form, it's going to gain momentum, lose momentum, change direction. And we have like annihilation. That's a form of a conservation of energy too. Is that the light annihilated? Well, what did it turn into? It wasn't destroyed. Matter. And you get particles out of that. It loses C. Well, what happened? Well, we lost speed and gained mass, because the only things that travel at sea don't have mass. And when you lose that, you have to gain mass. That's what happens when light annihilates. Probably where the Higgs boson is. So we get out of that topic. Like, geez, I wonder where that's at. Well, there it is. What's causing mass? Annihilation of light. So I'm a schizophrenic delusional, so you shouldn't listen to me. A doctor said so. He's a professional, and he has an opinion. He went to school, and he's a Scientologist. Some other guy just looked at me. I don't know what he is. But the first law gives us energy can't be created nor destroyed. That makes it eternal. Now, laws of conservation of energy help with that. So it's not going anywhere. It's just changing. And then we have E equals mc squared, which does the same. It says this energy is convertible into mass, and this mass is convertible into energy. Mass possesses energy, and energy possesses mass, at least if only a potential, which means that light can have energy and possess potential mass. It annihilates. So now we have nothingness. Now, the definition of nothingness is self-defined again. It means I can't exist. I never existed. You can't create me. You can't bring proof or evidence of me. I just never existed. I don't exist. I can't exist. Because of that, there has always and only been existence, so it's eternal. Whatever is existence. Now, for atheists, what we have here, and this is crucial for understanding a thought. These are all thoughts too, and this gives you clarity to reality, which helps you have healthy thoughts. So I'm the only qualified psychiatrist in this city and this county. They're nothing. They're all liars, and they're full of shit. So existence is eternal, and that's how it just reinforces itself all over the place. Yes, this is eternal. Now, what we've detected for atheists is just energy, just this stuff. That's all there is. We don't believe in God, right? This something separated from this. But for theists, whatever it is, God's a somethingness. God's not nothing, or else God wouldn't exist. So they say God created this. We say this is God. Well, God's omnipresent. The eternal is omnipresent. Everything is energy. Everything we can detect has to be a form of energy. Energy is eternal. Well, then this is it. It's omnipresent. It possesses all the knowledge. We have science. What are we learning for? What are we learning from? So that we can gain more knowledge, become closer to it, understand more about it, and where we're at. And it possesses all the knowledge. We have the suffix. We have the science. It has the prefix, the omni. So this thing out here, so see that? It's got all the knowledge, and we just keep learning from it. Now, it's eternal and it's singular. Gee, it sounds like monotheism. So I make a connection here. I go, it's okay to bridge this, okay, until we for certain know. And if this came from somewhere, it would still be eternal. Nothingness can't exist, so all there's ever been is something. And if it's a nice bridge for a theist. They're permitted to have faith until we know for certain this is only a scientific mind. If it created this, well, then it put its qualities in here. Like everything that this is screaming at you. I'm the eternal singularity. I'm omnipresent. Everything that you detect is me. And God's like, well, I told you for a theist that I'm omnipresent, so I'm in here and you're detecting me. This came from me. This is my thought. I created this. If you want to personify God, well, this is my thought. This is my mind. I'm in your mind and you're in mine. You always have been and always will be, because I'm omniscient. I knew all the way backwards in time that I was going to create you and you'd exist, and after you died, wherever you went or whatever you became, I knew that too. And while you're here. So, this is what a thought comes from. That means the essence of a thought is eternal. This is for atheist and theist. It doesn't matter which one. I bridge them both together. I'm the greatest uniter ever. It's the inseparable unity of the eternal singularity. It's it. It does it. So I'm King David. They think this is a joke. I weave God into every aspect of these people's lives. And I'm Jesus. I don't know why there's the name change, but they're both me. It's all of my life. It's what I do. It's who I am. It's actually happening. These people are saying I'm a schizophrenic delusional, these doctors, and they're not providing any proof or evidence. They're just dispelling it. It's not like, well, this is hard to accept. They're just dispelling it. They're just saying you're a schizophrenic delusional. Like, well, where's the proof? You're not dealing with any substance, and they're claiming they're not looking at any of this or watching it. When they did, I get arrested for following the law. Like, you're just scouring over everything, obsessing over me. We have crimes all over the country and the city, people being murdered and shot, and they're watching some guy's YouTube video all the time and going, you can't touch your penis, you can touch your penis, you can't touch your penis to that. We're going to arrest you for following the law, now you need to take medicine. I went to school for an opinion. So, this is crucial. Like I said, it's critical to understanding where a thought comes from. What is a thought? That's it. The external stimuli around you. Your environment. And then I went on to explain this so nicely for you. It's all connected. Here are all the different forms of energy. You see them. The tree is solid. What's in between there? Light is massless. It's traveling through. You can feel it. It's hot. You can see it. It's lighting up the sky, the day, everything around you. And there's gases in the atmosphere between all this stuff too. And all this gas, you're breathing it. And there's liquid. Where's liquid at? In your body, your blood. They call that plasma, but that's liquid. It's like liquid. You got blood. And it has other stuff in there too, actually. It's got iron. It's made up of all this different stuff, but it's a liquid form. You could spit. You can drink. You see liquid all over the place. So it's all here, but it's interconnected. There's nothing separating any of it. So that's what a thought is. This is reality. This gives all of you an understanding of whether you want it or not. Some guy said I was schizophrenic and it's a joke. So, I mean, it's a joke to me. They didn't do it as a joke. It's a fucking joke that this profession exists. And that their sheriff's department's allowed to just murder people and watch them masturbate and go, I'm going to kill him because he caught me watching him jack off. And now we're just going to say he's schizophrenic to hide all of it and kill him. Maybe we could damage his brain by sending out armies that sleep deprive him. So this is it. That's what a thought is and where it comes from. It's an eternal essence. I mean, you go all the way back to the Big Bang for atheists, and this is for theists too. We go, well, it used to be light. That's the only thing it could be. The only thing that can conform to any dimension of space. Anything with mass, like a particle, it has too much size, too much mass. It's got a size to it that's definite. Light will and can conform to any dimension of space. That's what it does. In fact, anywhere that we find something, there's light. the furthest reaches of our universe, that's what we're measuring. What's the microwave the microwave background radiation is light. So it was all once condensed into an extremely small ball, so it had no mass, and for some reason it annihilated. We're figuring that out. Why did it get there? How did it get there? What was it doing there? But there it was. And then poof! Turned into matter and mass. That's what matter is. I have mass. Not potential mass. I have mass. Everything else is massless. So they're calling it the 5 states of matter. I'm looking at the 6 states of energy. You forgot about radiation, like light. It's a photon. It's a waving particle that's massless. So, and then you have your 4 forces. You got the nuclear, weak, strong, electromagnetic, and gravitic. They're all working together, and some of those they consist of particles with mass. Some of them are point particles with no mass, and they have force frequencies. Energies that bind. So this is what's going on in reality. I'm waiting for them to tell me where my detachment's at. I'm a lemur. Maybe I'm a giraffe, or it's because I'm the president. Maybe it's because I'm smarter than all of them. So our thoughts are in essence eternal. We were all of us together, people listening to this, we were all once in one spot together. And we're still inseparably connected, but we're divided by, or experienced separately through, our central nervous systems and the expansion of space. It was all just one tiny little point, and then it went poof. But we were all there, kind of like an egg and a sperm. Just one little tiny, and then just poof. Or like mirror twins come out of that too. It's like the egg split in half and gave birth to 2. But it was all once in one tiny little spot, and then it expanded and grew, and it gave birth to all of us. So those are metaphors too. So these doctors are saying I have schizophrenia and delusions. I'm waiting for it. They haven't proven anything, and they have no evidence to the contrary of anything that I claim, because they're not investigating anything. They're the holy oracles that hide crimes. You have delusions because an opinion. So I'm waiting for them to and I have, and no, this isn't common knowledge. This is my theory. It will end up in, I suppose, it's already the general unified theory of everything. It probably will end up in a unified field theory. It unites all the fields, period. But it's general, very general and vague, ambiguous, but it just does. And then it probably results in a unified field theory, a unity of everything. It unites all the religions. I'm like, well, then we're making world peace. It starts the greatest uniter ever. So I'm waiting for these guys to come up with something that makes sense. What I'm dealing with is what they permitted to practice mental health here are a bunch of schizophrenic delusionals claiming to be doctors, and they're handing out schizophrenia to people like me.